So losing the challenge wasn't fun. Seeing my name written down really wasn't fun. But at the end of the day, unanimous vote. Dakota went home. So I don't think I'm gonna read too much into the fact that I got the one vote. I am curious if somebody threw my name out there. I mean, I know she had been throwing Rob's name out there, and for whatever reason, switched and voted for me instead. So maybe one day I'll hear why. But I do wonder if someone else threw out the name Daniel and then she kind of got hope and decided to vote for me. I'm not sure. But either way, I think it was nice to actually be able to start strategizing and having conversations. I feel really good with my DC alliance with Maddie and Rob. And I think Jennifer will probably be in with us as well. I mean, if we have that, that's a tight four. So on a tribe of seven, that should be the numbers. Obviously, you never know what's going to happen. I feel increasingly confident that Kyle has the idol, which messes things up a little bit. I mean, he would easily be my next choice for who would be voted off next. But, if he's going to play a compass, then the last thing you want to do is, throw a bunch of votes his way and then have someone in your alliance go home, especially since I have like the little, PTSD trigger from today where, if Dakota had played one, I would have gone home with one vote. So you got to be careful.
Woo! So the last 24 hours have been interesting. Last night I received a DM from Dakota just saying hi, but since it was against the rules, I ended up reporting it. And it was a little awkward coming into today. And actually, when we first got on, I ended up telling most of the group minus Jennifer just about it, just to give them a heads up. We ended up losing the challenge, which was a total bummer. And then we kind of had to go into scramble mode. My initial thoughts off the bat, it was really great to finally get to connect with Maddie. She's, I think, going to be my number one. I really trust her, and I was really happy to know that she was excited to work with me. And her and I getting to talk one-on-one was really helpful. Also great to finally connect with Daniel. I wish I got to talk to him a little more, but I feel solid about him. And I'm actually feeling better about Kyle. I think getting to talk to him in that setting, like knowing that he feels strongly about working with me, makes me want to work with him. I'm still going to keep an eye on him, and he's still such a game player, but I think Maddie and Daniel will be on board when it's time to cut him. Justin has me concerned just because he revealed to Dakota that I told them about what happened with her. And even though her and I got to speak and I genuinely believe that she didn't mean to send it and it was an accident like she meant, I kind of don't like that Justin had told her that. It just makes me question my trust in him. And then I didn't get as much time to really connect with Rob and Jennifer, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I still feel good about my place in the game, and despite all this drama, I feel like I was leading the vote tonight, and I was the one that ultimately made the decision. So just got to keep it up. I also received a advantage clue, so that's for the challenge tomorrow, so I got to be looking out for that, and I'm praying I get that compass because that would just make me feel even more comfortable. So we'll see what happens. Talk tomorrow.
So tonight was our first crossroads, and going into it, everybody had pretty much already decided who we were going to go with. And for our first vote, majority rules sounded good to me, so I went along with it. Even though we already had someone picked out that we wanted to vote for, everyone was still strategizing, trying to come up with alliances, deciding who they could trust or could potentially trust. And I feel really good about Justin. I think he seemed, I don't know. He seemed genuine now that I say it out loud, questioning myself, but we'll worry about that later. Justin seemed genuine, so I think I'm going to go with Justin. Also noticed Rob. He might actually be like an undercover working with Kyle and Dan, I feel like, but I want to trust him. I don't think Kyle wants to work with me. He has not tried to talk to me at all. I know he pulled Maddie aside and told Maddie that he wanted to work with her, and I'm hoping that she's not going to do that. I also noticed at Crossroads that a couple people were bringing up the clue and the compass, which I didn't know anything about. I had to sit out the first challenge. So when we got back from Crossroads, everyone was talking, and I just decided to throw it out there like, hey, I heard you guys talking about the compass. Was there a clue? And I was watching everyone. Dan and Kyle immediately wanted to shake their head no. Jarrett looked confused, like he didn't know if he should say yes or no, like he was looking around to see who he should follow. He's a follower, I think. And Justin and Rob, I think they were saying yes, and I don't remember if Maddie was. So I think Kyle and Dan we need to watch out for. I think we should go for Dan first because Justin's right. He went to look for the compass and then he did not want to say that he didn't even say that there was one, let alone looking for it when I asked. I don't know, you guys. This is stressing me out. But I think what I'd like to see happen is Jennifer, Justin, Maddie, and Rob. And then we get rid of Dan, then Kyle. But we just need to convince Jared, I think. We'll see after tonight.
Okay, it is 2:30 in the morning, so I'm trying to talk quiet. I don't want to wake my family up. But I cannot stop thinking about this. So, tonight, Red Team lost. We had Crossroads. Okay, I thought my device died. Oh my god, okay. So, anyway, one night I met in a room with 6 people before we picked teams. They were like, should we make a first day alliance? And I was just like, haha. That was just a warm up to see how I would do talking to people. Hold no weight to it. Flash to tonight. Justin gets in a room with me. He looks really excited and he's like, oh, I want to work with you. I even said it in my confessional. So I'm like, oh, do you remember night 1? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, Maddie's here. I didn't get to talk to her. Alright, so maybe this could be a possible 3. Oh, you're about to be hit with some wisdom of confusion. Alright, so Jared, me, and Maddie were all in a room after we came back from losing the challenge. We said maybe this could be a 4-way alliance right off the bat. Maybe. Maddie later on says that Kyle wants to team up with her. He pulled her aside and he said this to her. Justin said that he wants to work with me and Jared. But I haven't really spoken to Jared. He is on my no solos. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Alright, so we said about this. Justin wants to work with Jared. Maybe. Kyle wants to team up with Maddie. But who is Kyle talking to? And why do I think he's out to get me? I think I'm gonna make him want to be out to get me.
Alright, this is the first time I'm doing this immediately after our group chat because this one was intense. We went to our first Crossroads. I was so worried that it was going to be me tonight. I really believed at one point that Rob and Daniel and Jared were ready to gang together and vote me out. We ended up voting out Dakota because of the whole incident that happened with her and Jared. When I started to get this feeling, I really started to push this idea of we need to get this group together that is going to stay strong when we end up interacting with the other tribe. So my goal was, if I was getting thrown out there, that they wouldn't even think about it too much, because I really wanted to push home I was one of the people willing to stay with this group until we can. And I'm not at all. I am ready to, I'm not all of them. I'm not ready to flip on them, but I'm not planning on going to now Final 7 with this group. I was trying so hard to get Daniel voted out tonight. That was my goal, and I couldn't get the right people in the room to make it happen. I needed to find a way to get Maddie and Kyle in a room with me and convince them that it needed to be done tonight, and I really think it did need to be done. From what I'm seeing, well, maybe not even so much anymore. From what I saw when we were going over the vote was Jared, Daniel, and Rob, I thought, had this tight bond. I thought the three of them were basically they were the top of this group. So I really wanted to put an end to that before it even started. Getting rid of Dakota, I think, put me in a really bad position. I think that it put me in a spot right now that's going to take a lot of convincing and a lot of good reads on who's actually with who at this point. And when the votes were happening, those were the 3 that I believed were the core. I think there is a core. I think there's a core of at least 3, and I don't think I'm part of it. I ended up linking up with Jennifer at one point, and she actually became who I thought I wanted Maddie to be to me. Jennifer is the person that I got in a room alone with, and I said to her, I want a person that I can trust, and that if I leave a room, I think that they'll have my back and tell me what happened, and she agreed. She did a pinky promise to me. We had a code at one point where if we thought we were able to get the votes, that at the crossroads we would give each other a sign. Hers was put her hair back if she thought we had the votes to get rid of Daniel. Mine was put a hat on. Neither of us believed it. But the fact that she did the sign and put her hair forward and made sure, from what it looked like to me, made sure I knew that she was putting her hair forward, said to me she was in for this plan of us working together long term. And honestly, I think right now I will be willing to go to the end with her. The problem is, when I talked to Jared right before the vote, his whole idea was kind of like, well, the group of 6 that we had the first night when Dakota and Jen weren't in the group yet. Well, Dakota left and Jen wasn't able to get on. He's basically like, this is the 6 that he wants as a core, which puts Jennifer on the outs right now, which I don't like. So I need to find 2 more votes at the next crossroads we go to, and to be able to vote out one of the other 3, obviously. But that's where my reads are going to have to come into play really strong, because if it's 3 people as the core, I need to find the right 2 people that aren't part of that core. The problem's going to be if the core is a 4. If it's a 4-person core, then, this move may have just sunk me, because they may have basically just been like, yeah, they have majority from this point on. So I have to find, and originally I thought Maddie and Kyle were the 2 that weren't part of the core. We started to talk about the compass at one point and clues. I think Jennifer brought it up. And Maddie knew about the room. And that said to me that because maybe she did go in it, but she said to me, she said to the group, oh yeah, just a person in there holding up a sign with the start basically of a map. But no one ever brought that up, and I'm pretty sure she didn't. She may have went in there, but to me it's almost like, who did she find this out from? If it's herself, then she went in there by herself, but otherwise she talked to someone. So I'm starting to think Maddie might be part of this core group, and I don't know if I can go to her. The other problem is I don't really think Kyle is part of this core group yet, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him at all. So I don't know how to pull him onto my side. This is going to be hard without some kind of compass, because if I had the compass 100%, I would have given it to Dakota. I would have said, everyone's voting for you, play this, get rid of Daniel, would have been done. Maybe I should have been one of the people to go in the clue room. At this point, with everyone knowing about these, if another one pops up, I'm going to start going to them. Because what is the worst that happens at this point? No one's clearly targeting other people for going to them, because no one else really was like, oh yeah, Daniel went to it. So, but yeah, the reason I think Jared's part of this group is because Jared said at one point, I feel strongly positive about Daniel. Rob also knew what the clue was, so that's why I'm starting to think it might be a 4-person. If it's a 4-person core, I basically we have to make a swap. Me and Jennifer have to get to a swap before we lose another challenge, because if we lose another challenge, I don't know how right now, if I had to guess, she's in more danger, but I don't want that at all. So her going home is, at this point, I look at it as it's almost as bad as me going home, because I'm probably after that. But so I really need to figure out who's not core and who's willing to turn on Daniel. If I had just been able to get, I guess Maddie probably would have been a bad one if she's actually part of this core, like I'm thinking now. But if I had been able to get those votes tonight and get rid of him, I think the game would be in my hands. And now I'm basically playing from the bottom, I feel like. So I think Kyle might be the best bet. And then I got to find that fourth person. Hopefully we don't lose tomorrow. If we do, I think I'm in trouble. Maybe not directly getting voted out next, but I think my game is in trouble.
That's my breath of relief after getting through last night. I'm very happy that I did not go home. And to follow up from my last confessional, I was really like itching to get into these smaller breakout rooms and like talk to people and see if they're on the same page as me. And I was so relieved to find out that everyone I wanted to work with also wanted to work with me, and then some. I felt like I was getting like, everyone kept talking about how they were alone for a little while in rooms, and I was never alone. Like I felt like I was just like talking to a bunch of different people, and I am looped into a lot of like seemingly core alliances, and that makes me a little overwhelmed because I'm like, I don't really know like who I want to work with moving forward. Like right now, I'm looped into one with Daniel and Rob. I'm looped into one with Jennifer and Justin, Kyle and Jared. Yeah. And then there's like, I need to take notes. I need to figure out like, I need to map it all and see like where the common threads are and who I should talk to a little bit more tonight. God, I am just like, my brain hurts because there was so much like strategy talk. Luckily, the vote last night was pretty straightforward, and that was Dakota. And the only reason why that happened is because there was like, it was like kind of like a sketchy incident where she messaged Jared on the side, and that's like against game rules. I don't believe she had like malintention. I don't believe it was an accident. I just think that she, didn't really understand that you couldn't do that, which is, interesting. But that just made the vote really easy because it's not that it's anything to do with her. It was just like, okay, like who's in this room is making the most noise? Let's just put the votes on them on the first vote. So it is what it is. I'm really happy it wasn't me. And I also feel like I'm in a pretty good key position on this team to understand like what everyone is doing and what everyone is working on. Hopefully I don't blow anyone's cover. That's my thing. I just want to be a listener and take it all in and share the information with the people that I think need to know the information. Anyways, we'll figure it out. I think it puts me in a good position if we have to swap parties or they'll merge or something. I have a lot of people in my core and that makes me feel good. So everything that I was nervous about, I'm feeling good. Ready to take on tonight, and hopefully we win the challenge so we don't have to worry about voting anyone out, because I think that would be really, really difficult. So anyways, bye.
All right, so we just wrapped up day 3 of Expedition Online. Our party went into today's challenge really, really positive, excited, and we thought we were going to wipe the floor with Ethan's tribe. You really could not tell us that we were not going to be the best of the best. Unfortunately, our hubris did get the best of us, and we lost today's challenge and had to go over to Crossroads in order to vote out the first member of Janet's tribe. This is the first time that our tribe had actually ever used any of the smaller Discord channels for our party. And so we all went into random channels first in order to kind of start having those smaller groups. At the beginning of the night, we'd heard from Jared that there was some situation that occurred where Dakota had sent him a private message over Discord, and that he had reported that to the mods, but wanted to be very transparent with us. And I think we all pretty much assumed that there would be the 3 automatic penalty votes on Dakota for this. But once we got into our party's smaller chats, uh, I ended up in a chat room with Justin and Dakota explained the situation to me about how it was an accident. You know, she did not intend to send a DM, but it was mostly an unfamiliarity with Discord that caused it to happen, and that she had talked about it with the mods, and it sounded like they agreed with her, and it sounds like they still agree with her, which is, great. I don't want anyone to be cheating, and I'm glad that she owned up to her part in this mistake, this misunderstanding. Uh, that said, as I went and started having more conversations with other folks, it sounded like, unfortunately, the damage may already be done in terms of once that target's on your back, it's not going to get off without some heavy, heavy work on your end. And I don't think anyone else is really willing to throw names out to target anyone else. Uh, and then I, had a small talk with Daniel, and he, reminded me, hey, even without the whole DM situation, there may be other arguments for why we would send Dakota home first. And so then I went and tried to have some one-on-one conversations. I really got a good vibe from Daniel still. From Justin, I feel pretty strong with. And I also feel good about Maddie, even though I haven't had the opportunity to have any one-on-one conversations with her yet. It's not because I haven't tried. It's just with these rooms set up the way they are, there is a cap for how many party members can be in any one room at any time. And anytime I was trying to go into a room, her rooms were always capped. And at one point, I was just outside of the rooms because every room that people were in was at capacity. And so I was just sitting here talking to myself and then playing some Mariah Carey in order to get my mind off the fact that I am currently spending a couple minutes with no communication with anyone else on the tribe, which leads me to think that maybe they were gonna vote me out. And then Jared told me that I was a name that Dakota was throwing out, and I heard from Maddie as well that I was also a name, Dakota was throwing out. So I was panicking. I was panicking. It was really not a good look for the inside of this brain. I already get worried about the fact that people find me annoying. I can't help it. I don't know what it is, but my face is expressive, and it annoys some people, which is, it is what it is. I've come to embrace it, but it's hard to embrace in a game like Expedition Online, where these other explorers could vote you out for the smallest thing, like being annoying. And so I was freaking out for the rest of the deliberation, and when we went into our crossroads, we had our opportunity to say our piece and discuss everything that went down, including the situation with the DMs. It sounded like Jared, at the end of it all, believed her, but it sounds like Jennifer was really, really still trying to poke some holes into the authenticity of Dakota's, I don't know if it's an apology, but the explanation. And so it was interesting that she was kind of coming out so gung-ho about it. But, it may also have been the fact that we were at crossroads, emotions were heightened, we were all vulnerable, and needed to really come together to make sure that this plan worked. Ultimately, we were able to vote Dakota out. I did not want to write anyone's name down. I did not want to write Dakota's name down. But I think that this is what we needed to do in order to make sure that the rest of the tribe was unified moving forward. And then it turns out I didn't even have my name written down. Unfortunately, Daniel's name was written down by Dakota. Not sure why, but no one else followed suit. So we were 7 strong, voting out Dakota. Dakota, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I wish we could be playing in this game for longer, and I hope when I see you outside this game, there are no hard feelings. Um, After the vote, though, we all pretty much went right back into, well, not pretty much, but we went right back into our shelter, and you could see people were starting to loosen up a little bit more. There was still a lot of that tension of people who were being very paranoid, myself included. And slowly over time, with the help of alcohol for some folks, I'm currently in an alcohol dry spell at the moment, so no alcohol to help calm me down. But you could see other people were starting to loosen up a little bit and really, beyond just come to terms, accept that we had to vote Dakota out. And it seemed like we were able to get back to some sort of, Survivor Expedition Online Kumbaya, which is, I guess, the new name or vibe that we are calling ourselves, or calling our party's atmosphere. Is very kumbaya. I really hope that any moves that do happen moving forward, no one takes them personally, no one takes them seriously, and we're all able to come together and be friends afterwards. God, this was such a stressful tribal, or stressful. This was such a stressful crossroads. I am still coming to terms with, hearing that my name was out there. Even if my name wasn't written down, the fact that I may be considered an option for some people terrifies me. And as much as I'm feeling good with Daniel and with Justin, I really want to feel better with Jennifer and with Maddie. And I don't want anyone to think of me as a name or an option that they could write down in the future. I want to be as far from that conversation as possible so that the next time, God forbid, we go to Crossroads, people aren't thinking, hey, maybe we can use this time to get rid of Rob. But I guess, moving forward, I'm going to really start looking across the Expedition Online internet accounts for any sort of hidden advantages or immunity idols so that I can, make sure I don't go down without a fight. Fuck. Yikes. Anyway, tomorrow we do this all over again. But I think now that we've had a taste of Crossroads, Janet's team does not want to go back. This party wants to win again and again and again and make our way to the merge, keeping it Janet strong as far as we can. Whew. Feels better to say that already. Wish us luck, We may not need it, but we'll take it. We're not too proud for luck. Good night, everyone.